Here to break it all down for us, let's welcome Heritage Action for America Executive Director Jessica Anderson, along with GOP strategist Ford O'Connell. Good to see you both. Thanks for being here. 2 weeks. Can you believe it? It's finally happened, or it's closer to happening. Ford, let me go to you first and just read something from the New York Times. I don't usually read the New York Times, but there was an interview with Nancy Pelosi today in which she said, "I cannot believe anybody would vote for these people," referring to Republicans. "Endless lying and endless money." This from a multi-billionaire who said a lot of things that are questionable recently, right?
Well, that's exactly right, David. Speaker Pelosi is delusional, and she's been lying to the American people. Voters are panicked about Biden's abysmal economy, and they know winter's coming. Sprinkle in the Democrats' absurd positions on crime, border security, and what's being taught in schools. I'm going to tell you right now, David, the House is already gone to Republicans. The only question is how close to 240 seats do they come?
Well, Jessica, some Democrats, like Charlie Crist, surprisingly in Florida, are admitting that there is an inflation problem in the United States. Extraordinarily, they're admitting it. But wait till you hear who he blames for it. Let me roll tape and get your reaction. That's SOT number 2.
Affordability is in a crisis in Florida. Housing is unaffordable in the Sunshine State. You know, good luck even renting an apartment. The price of gas is incredibly expensive, and utility rates have gone through the roof because DeSantis administration has taken their eye off the ball.
So it's Ron DeSantis. Who knew, Jessica?
Oh, my goodness. Charlie Crist is throwing anything at the wall to try to have something to stick and something to talk about. But the truth is, Florida voters know better. They know that Governor DeSantis is the one that kept the state open, that kept workers working, allowed jobs to actually come back after the Biden administration intentionally tanked the economy. So Charlie Crist is honestly, he's grasping at straws here. Voters are going to bring in a big wave for Governor DeSantis and really reward him for everything that he did to keep the Florida economy open. And by the way, attract so many brand new Florida residents that are going to be first-time voters November 8th, hopefully for Governor DeSantis.
Yeah, well, actually, 300,000 people are moving to Florida every year. It's been that way, actually, even with his predecessor. I mean, it's extraordinary. I don't know if the state can hold many more, but, you know, Ford, there is a sense of desperation among a lot of Democrats. I think that's what led Crist to admit there's inflation, but blame it all on Ron DeSantis. Even the inflation they're having out in the Midwest and the West Coast, it's extraordinary. But in some cases, it's turning violent. There was some violent action taken against a canvasser for Senator Rubio in Florida. I hate to suggest that this is spreading, but we need to keep a close eye on this stuff.
Yeah, David, you're absolutely right. As a Floridian, I will say this. Governor DeSantis is America's governor. And what he showed Charlie Crist, it best illustrates the nutshell problem that Democrats have. They're focused on late-term abortions and transgender surgery for minors when you have inflation at a 40-year high, when you have crime. And then what they do is, besides messaging division and hate, they go out and they preach violence, and then they blame it on Republicans. If you look back over the years, look back to the summer of love, it's always Democrats turning the cheek the other way when it comes to political violence.
But, Jessica, I hope in this instance that some of that violence is behind us. I mean, we did see that awful case of the assassin that was haunting one of the Supreme Court justices. Some people say that the violent rhetoric from Democrats like Schumer had at least part to do with that. I see some of that dialed back by Democrats. Am I wrong?
Well, I don't think Democrats are dialing back or doing anything to stop people from being violent on the streets. I mean, the fact that you have a canvasser that is simply going door to door to talk about the issues that voters care about, being attacked in his Marco Rubio shirt, in his Ron DeSantis hat, whether there was, political hatred there or not, doesn't discount these gruesome images. And this sort of violence is exactly what Democrats have actually allowed to spread with their soft on crime policies, with the defund the police movement. I think this will be a huge topic on the debate tonight with Dr. Oz and Fetterman in Pennsylvania. It's certainly, as you mentioned, top of mind for voters in New York for the gubernatorial race as well.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about the New York race for it is that now you have Governor Hochul coming out with all these commercials about how she's going to be tough on crime when she was the one who was applauding the no bail law just a couple of months ago. Now it's like she's turning 180 degrees. I can't imagine the voters forgetting that she was one of the biggest supporters of the policies that have led to the increase in crime.
Well, she's definitely hoping that New York voters will forget about her soft on crime policies. And what Lee Zeldin is doing in New York is absolutely amazing. He's focused on crime and he's focused on inflation and the abysmal economy. And remember, this is a cobalt blue state. And this is important, not just because Jessica and I would prefer a Republican to preside over the Empire State, but if Lee Zeldin is able to get over the line, the Republicans may pick up 3 or 4 more House seats in New York State. And we could actually put Sean Patrick Maloney on watch here in New York 17, because if he loses, that would be the first time a House campaign chief has lost in a general election since 1980. This is historic.
It would be extraordinary. Well, let's look at the rankings if we can put that up on the screen. There's 200. GOP now has an advantage of 233 seats. That's according to our rankings that we're doing here at Fox. You only need 218 for a majority, so 233 would be way above what is needed for a majority. Are you pretty confident, Jessica, that Republicans will keep that lead going into the elections?
My sense is Republicans are going to keep this lead over the next 15 days because the American people are fired up. I travel coast to coast for my work here at Heritage Action and with the Sentinel Action Fund. And I got to tell you, every single voter we talk to wants to see a change. They don't like the direction the Biden administration has gone. They're soft on crime. They have no plan for inflation, no plan to turn around the indoctrination in our schools. They are not empowering parents. All of these issues are at the ballot box. It's not just one issue. And I think that's really what's going to come down to it for these House seats that are going to flip, 25 seats, but then also these pickup opportunities for the GOP in the Senate. We could be looking at a Senate majority at 52.
Jessica Anderson, Ford O'Connell, good to see you both. Thank you very much for coming in tonight. Appreciate it. Well, police.